Good evening, darlings. Welcome back to Skits and Quibbles show. Tonight, we have another fantastic lineup. Now, we do know that Balkan people are very welcoming. The latest poll, I am your hostess, so I am from the Balkans, and I have to say, we are very welcoming. The latest poll is, no matter what people will tell you, that we are the most welcoming nations in the world. Balkan, kind of South Slav, you know, Eastern Europeans, Southeastern Europeans. That is if we don't shoot you. Now, Ottoman Empire loved us so much, they stayed for 5 centuries. And they are also responsible for another, the Serbo-Croatian idiom, every guest 3 days is enough. Our next act is actually going to have this wonderful, wonderful kind of childlike energy in her set, so I want to do a nice little transition into this. The other day, my son got asked, what does your mum do for a living? And he said she tells jokes. And the teacher goes, well, I thought she was managing consultant. He goes, yeah, that's when she tells her best jokes. Welcome for our next comedian. Her name is Marina Joy, and she does bring a lot of joy.
Hello everyone, lovely to be here tonight. My name's Marina Joy, and just to start by telling you a few things about myself, I studied a creative degree. Anybody else here study a creative degree? Okay, a few other people out there who made terrible life choices. But I couldn't get an agent, so I failed at that. I then decided to become a children's entertainer! Yay! It turns out I don't like children. Oh, so I failed at that. So now I am a stand-up comedian, and at this moment in time, it's not a career choice. It's just a desperate cry for help. Now, my first job after leaving uni was to work at a children's adventure park. Ooh! But if that responsibility wasn't enough, I also was put in charge of the jelly eating competition. Ooh. Any jelly athletes here? Any jelly athletes? Yeah, we've been training. I have been training to be a jelly athlete my whole life. Oh, it's going to be the Olympics one day. It will, it will. And this is basically where you have a plate full of jelly and you have to eat the jelly. But there is a catch, as there always is. You are not allowed to use your hands or a knife or a fork or your hands or your feet for that matter. You're going to have to just slurp the jelly up with your face. Now, the children love this, the parents not so much. But we did have one family who came along, and they were a very middle class family, even more middle class than me. I know, is it even possible? And they had a 7-year-old called Tabitha. And they put Tabitha in for the jelly eating competition. And halfway through the jelly eating competition, Tabitha's had enough, and she just starts crying, and she's like, eating the jelly, and goes, Mama, the jelly, it's not organic. And Mama, it's from Tesco. But the parents are very unsympathetic, and they're like, come on, Tabitha, the glory of the family is at stake. And I'm like, oh, she's 7, that's a lot of pressure. But, you know, they look at her plate full of jelly, and they sort of have this sort of non-verbal kind of communication goes on. And they pick up her paper plate full of jelly, they sort of make it into a funnel, and they pour the contents into her open, crying mouth. So the result is a little bit like, no more jelly, Mama. At this point, I am getting so stressed. I mean, technically, this is cheating. It goes against the jelly eating guidelines. The parents are not supposed to help the kids, are supposed to do it themselves. Secondly, that is a lot of jelly. If she chokes on all that jelly, that's a lot of paperwork. I don't want to have to do it. But the crowd are loving it. They're like, jelly, jelly, yeah, woo! And at the last second, Tabitha eats that last all-important morsel of jelly, and the glory of her family is at stake. And she goes home with a well-earned lollipop. Now, there was something else I did as a children's entertainer, because I know any parents out there, right? Look at your smug faces. I know that you love to give your children these gross, disgusting, terrible things called birthday parties, where you hire some poor human to look after 40 sugar-infused children while you drink Prosecco and chat. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely? So I've had to do these really fun things with the kids. Like I'd do, you know, maybe some games, we'd do face painting, and I'd also do some balloon modelling. Now, I had one small child come up to me and say, could I have a balloon sword, please, Miss Balloon Lady? And I was like, of course you can. So I made them a balloon sword. My brain has just forgotten how to make a balloon sword, which is probably for the best when I think about it. There you go. So it looks a little bit kind of like, I don't even know which way around it goes, but there we are, something like that. So it looks a little bit like this. Yay! And then this boy, he took the sword and he did the one thing with the balloon sword you're not really supposed to do. In front of all those wealthy Prosecco drinking parents, he began to slowly turn it upside down. And in front of all of the parents, then slowly begins to make it go towards his crotch. And my face is just going, no. And he proceeds to just run around going, the lady's giving me a willy! Yay! Woo! He's having a great time, like, woo, like this. Whew. And I'm getting so stressed. And I know that I only have 3 options available to me at this point. I could just wait for the ground to just sort of swallow me up. Or I could run after him and go, come on, no, give it back, give the sword back, silly. And then he could turn around and go, the lady's touching my willy. Which is not a good look at a children's party, or ever really is, let's be honest. So I can't do that. So then I do the only sensible thing I can do, and I go and join the parents and drink Prosecco instead. And that's how I felt as a children's entertainer. I'm just going to waft this out. But if that wasn't enough craziness in my life, during the 2020 lockdown, my parents decided to adopt, which was lovely. Only they decided to adopt a human, not a dog. Like, I mean, I was pretty disappointed. I kind of wanted the dog, to be honest. But my parents decided to adopt a little 4-year-old called Jack. He's lovely. But I was thinking about this, right? When you have family, right? You don't usually have to introduce yourself to your family. They're just kind of there and you just sort of muddle through, right? But like, imagine having a small child in front of you who's had a hard, hard past, and you have to go, hey, I'm your new big sister. You're stuck with this. It's hard, you know, it's hard. But this little boy, this little Jack, he just ran into our house and he saw a picture of my grandma up on the wall. And he just turned around to my mum and just went, why did your mum die? And we were like, quite well, you see, no, well. And before we could say anything, he just ran around the house just screaming, Grandma's died! I was like, no, please, make it stop, this is too much! Goodness, so that was an interesting first impression. I don't even get any peace when I'm sitting on the toilet by myself, and I'm just sitting there doing my own business, like finally got some peace and quiet. And I just hear this voice from the other side of the door just going, Marina, would you like a biscuit? And I'm going, when I get off the toilet, I'll have a biscuit, all right, that's fine. And I just look down and there's just a chocolate digestive being slid underneath the door. I mean, it has taste, I'll give him that. And then I thought to myself, I know this isn't very hygienic, but I actually am really hungry. So that is what happened to me during lockdown. I was reduced to willy balloons and eating biscuits off bathroom floors. And that's where I am in life right now.
Tell us, what is it like, and how has your life been both made poorer and made richer? And hopefully, knowing you, you will look at it from a positive perspective, but just take it, just answer how you feel, really.
I think it's a mixture. I think it's a shock to the system, for sure, because you have all these expectations, and then someone rocks up and you're like, oh, that's unexpected, right? Okay, we're dealing with that now, great. A lot more nudity than I thought. I didn't think I'd have to say things such as like, can you please put your trousers on before you eat dinner? Kind of thought that was
original.
I thought that was a basic human standard of behaviour, but apparently not.
No, I say that to my boyfriend all the time. So it's age neutral, that.
Yeah. I think it does make you realise, like, when I look at my mum, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, thank you for raising me, because, we all know I was the perfect child, but that aside, like, thank you for, like, raising me, and then wanting to, like, do it all again with, like, someone else, because that is hard work. Yes. Worth it and beautiful, but also, like, it's kind of like, this is hilarious, but also, you can cry the next minute because something's happened, and you're like, oh, I'm so stressed at the same time. So it's a whirlwind of emotions, but it's also really, like, worthwhile and very kind of like, oh, when you do something, you're like, I'm so proud.
Now, what is the most beautiful thing that you're very childlike, as I said, and curious and direct, and there's a certain kind of brutal honesty about you, which I have to say, as my friend, it's one of your best qualities.
Oh, thank you.
Well, also humor is fun too, but I think your brutal honesty is like top in my books. What what is the most wonderful thing that this young human being has brought into your life?
I think just when you think about it, like, maybe sometimes you might think, oh, do I really want to read him a bedtime story, or do I really want to do this? But actually think about it, like, you're only like a child once, right? It's kind of precious. Like, it makes you realise, like, oh my goodness, like, life really is short, because, like, you're not going to be a kid forever. You're not going to want to do, whatever, like, hold my hand or whatever forever. Like, it makes you realise, like, oh my goodness, like, my childhood was so short.
Yes.
All about, it's over by the age of, like, what? 80? 25, 25, 30, 35. But it makes you realise, childhood's really short and precious. Like, you don't get to do that again, right? And then you always want to grow up as a kid, but actually when you're an adult, you want to revert back to being a kid. So, like, you just got to appreciate what you've got, really, because, I'm sure at some point I'll be like, oh, I wish that I had someone to tell off for nudity at the table or something, like, I'm going to miss that at some point. You'll be at uni, but really, you're so embarrassing.
Please welcome our next act. He is absolutely hilarious, absolutely fantastic human being, which makes it just even better that he's funny, because you will love him. You will love him. Yes. Oh, I've known him for like 20 hours. That's how long I've known him. Yes, I know. His name is Andrew Dipple. Please welcome him to the stage.
Hello. So yes, my name is Andrew Dipple. Used to be a good name, but then recently it's become a really bad time to be called Andrew. See, I thought that we'd got past all of the awkward Prince Andrew nonsense. Only for the back end of last year, Andrew Tate came along and he kicked in the door. Just reminding us all that if you're a millionaire, Andrew, you're likely a sex pest. And it's a shame because it's a good name. And I'm worried it's going to go the way of the Karen, Do we have any Karens in? No, of course not. They're all out there talking to the manager. But yeah, like I say, it's a good name. Andrew, it comes from the Greek word meaning man. And then subsequently masculine and courageous and warrior-like. Now, I don't feel it's a very courageous or warrior-like name anymore. Because we've got one guy who got involved in a Twitter argument with a 19-year-old girl. And then we got this other guy who wouldn't dare engage a girl that old. Like when we were born, Mum didn't have a baby name book. She just grabbed a Bible. Was like, that'll do. Which worked out absolutely fine for my brothers Peter and Christopher. And our sister, Noah's wife. But yeah, it's a strange name, Dipple. I met a girl a little while ago and I said, hi, my name's Dipple. And she looked at me and said, nipple? I said, no, it's like nipple, but it's spelt with a D. And she went, oh, nippled? It was a very strange feeling, this. And she was beautiful. I asked her out on a date. And her response to me was, I only date Gryffindors. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's part of the Harry Potter world, right? So you've got Gryffindors who are all like the heroes. And then you've got Slytherin who are all the evil ones. And then you've got Ravenclaw who are all the smart ones. And then you've got Hufflepuff who are all the extras. And so I asked her out and she said, yeah, you have to prove you're a Gryffindor. So I had to take what was called the Pottermore quiz. Based on these laughs, I'm feeling a lot of you know what this is. Right? This quiz, you have to sign up with your email address and answer about 45 minutes worth of questions to find out what fictional personality type you have. So I take this quiz, I sign up, I go through all the questions, comes out, Slytherin. So obviously that won't do. So I take the quiz again, make a new email address, because I'm smart. Different answers this time. Slytherin again. Take it for a third time, Hufflepuff. Nope. I take this quiz 9 times. By the end of this, my email addresses read things like definitely Gryffindor at AOL.com. But I finally got Gryffindor, and I finally went on this date with this girl, and we had the best time. Yeah. But all I could think the whole time was, that might be the most Slytherin thing I've ever done. But yeah, it's a great thing. I like my name. It makes it harder, though, when you do meet women, because they don't really want this name. And it gets more problematic the older I'm getting. But I've just turned 40. Yeah. In BMI. Like, you know, your BMI, your body mass index, that thing where they take your height and they take your weight and they do this big old calculation that makes you sound so much fatter than you feel. Like, I don't feel very fat, but then every now and again something will come along that just reminds me. Like, the other day at work, I had to open all of my spreadsheets in double XL. So I should have warned you all up front. I'm what's known as a gag comedian. What that means is I'm rubbish at blowjobs. So yeah, I need to lose some weight. And I know what you're thinking. Andrew, you look like the kind of guy who only exercises caution. But I've been out there, I've got myself a personal trainer, a PT. Now this man, he looks like he was sculpted out of marble. I look like I was sculpted out of cake. Right? I'm pretty sure he came out the womb with a 6-pack, you know? Whereas I come rolling out my mum like the boulder in Indiana Jones. So yeah, I've got to lose some weight. I've got a wedding coming up. Now, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go. Now, maybe it's because, like, I don't look great in a 3-piece suit, you know? Or maybe it's because, like, I just don't like being around that many people all at once, you know? Or maybe I just don't love her anymore. Like I say, I've been trying to lose a bit of weight. I did swimming lessons. Yeah, that was great. But I haven't been back since the awkward breaststroke incident. So I took pole dancing classes. Yeah. But I haven't been back since the awkward breaststroke incident. So I started volunteering in an old people's home. Really wish people would stop stroking my breasts.
Andrew, that was so hilarious.
Thank you.
You are a funny guy. Women love funny guys.
Get the word out, because I haven't experienced that.
I certainly will,
Yeah.
because there's a list, I've got a spreadsheet of women that I can match with you.
Oh,
wonderful.
perfect.
And
Yeah.
Greg's. Now, Greg's is the bakery chain from the UK.
It's one of the largest in the UK.
Yeah, do they sponsor you?
No.
Okay, so why are you wearing the top?
Honestly, I just really like their stuff. It's really they did a collaboration between a bakery and Primark, one of the cheapest clothing chains in the world. And I'm their target demographic for what you want for that.
What do you want for that?
I love the stuff. I think it's brilliant.
Is it cotton? Is it Egyptian cotton?
This is cotton. I don't think Egyptian, no.
No, it's not Egyptian. It's not soft enough.
No, it's
to be
not.
Egyptian.
They have got one that is really, really soft, but I tumble dried it and it shrank. And there is honestly nothing more embarrassing than wearing a bakery chain top that comes up and shows your belly. It is the weirdest, especially when it's in double XL to start with. It's like a little boob tube. Yeah.
Loving it. But if it shrinks, you can always give it to a teddy bear to wear.
I could.
It's nice. You could have the similar outfit.
Exactly. I just wear it around my house.
That's
just
it.
that and look like Winnie the Pooh. It's great.
So which character would you be from Winnie the Pooh?
I think I would be Pooh because I have serious main character energy.
Yeah.
But mostly because of my physique. But it's funny.
Yeah, you are cuddly. Oh, you are so cuddly. You are.
Because over the years, I love
And
Winnie
I'd
the
be
Pooh.
Tigger.
I've got a tattoo of Winnie the Pooh and his friends. And you would absolutely be Tigger.
So there's Eeyore, there's Piglet,
Yep.
there's Winnie the Pooh, and Tigger.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you can't see, don't worry. You're not missing much.
Hey!
As tattoos go. It's fine.
But yeah.
It's wonderful. I love it. So what is that significant? It's a proper tattoo. It is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't just
It's
put
not like a sticker tattoo. You didn't just stick it on.
because I anticipated this conversation coming. You should see the rest of the ones I've got that just hasn't come up in conversation.
I can't wait.
I'm going to steer this towards Pokemon for my next one. But no, I honestly, I grew up reading Winnie the Pooh and my nephews and niece love it and stuff like that. And honestly, Christopher Robin, the Ewan McGregor film, is possibly one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yes.
It's just really heartwarming and lovely. Yes. And it's impossible to not smile while you watch it. And I love Pooh's energy. He's just such a happy little guy.
Yes, and so much wisdom as well coming out of that.
Absolutely. There's a tattoo I do want to get because he has a line where he says, nothing is impossible, which I want to get done. And people look at that and think, you're a manly man. Nothing's impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
But in the film, he says, people say nothing's impossible, but I do nothing every day. Right? And that is exactly my energy.
It's not the take on
Exactly.
Audrey Hepburn's, even the word itself says possible.
Yes.
It's actually quite the opposite.
Exactly,
Loving it. Like, what day is it today? It's my favourite day.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
It is wonderful, yeah.
Yes.
Because I just love that energy. He's like a goldfish, and you need that in comedy. You might have a bad gig, and then the next day, that was yesterday. Today's my favourite day. And then you just carry on. It's just a really nice way of being.
You're so delightful.
Oh,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to give you a hug, but not on camera because I don't want sexual harassment case. Now, the heavyweights are coming in. Now, we have one wonderful... I don't even know the place that he comes from Ireland. I mean, when he told me he was from Ireland, I didn't really believe him because I've never flown to that airport there. So please take this with a pinch of salt, you know, a bit more, because and do check. I haven't checked the passport or anything like that. So he could totally be illegally immigrant here, and we have absolutely no responsibility. Absolutely, we do not check passports. Anything. We're not because you know we don't need to. But I don't really know if he's Irish or not. But he is funny. He is funny. He trained as a puppeteer. He won't be doing puppets. But he's funny. He's funny. Please welcome to the stage, wonderful, hilarious, Dillon Harris. Yes!
Just in case you forgot, this is the only medium that sometimes feels a need to tell you what it is, you know? Like, imagine if you were watching Marriage Story and while Adam Driver's shouting, there's a sign in the back saying drama, you know? I want to talk about religion. Any religious people here tonight? Yeah, right on. Sorry. Let me just preempt that. I was raised Irish Catholic. For those of you who don't know, that's like Christianity, except we took a couple of creative liberties. Like when we were 12 years old, we take a pledge where we promise not to drink alcohol until we're 18, which makes no sense. We'd already been drinking for at least 5 years at that point. We'd already gone through multiple DUIs, a couple of AA meetings, and a divorce. I don't think a promise of God's going to stop us. Yeah. We also believe in not having sex until marriage, but again, we took some liberties here. We don't have sex after we get married. Important detail. I used to be religious when I started living in the real world, which I know is a very naive thing for someone who's trying to be a comedian to say. But like I've seen some people achieve that. I haven't seen anybody achieve going to heaven and meeting Jesus, you know? And what would you say if you met Jesus? It'd be kind of an awkward conversation, wouldn't it? Like, hey, I like your sandals. Thanks for dying for my sins. That was really cool. I'm sorry I masturbated so much. Also, you're way less white than I thought you were going to be. Wow. Okay. I consider myself agnostic now. Any agnostics in? Yeah, right on. An agnostic, for those of you who don't know, is like an atheist, except we're pussies. Yeah? Because atheists are like, there's definitely no God. Whereas agnostics are like, I don't think there's a God, but if there is one, I respect you. Okay. No, I'm not religious anymore, but I've been trying to work on myself in other ways. I've been going to the gym a lot more recently. You know, none of you believe that? Okay, cool. No, I like going to the gym because it makes me feel better when I eat fast food. You know, I'll go into a KFC like, you worked out today and yesterday. You deserve this. There must be some health benefits to a zinger. You know, a protein shake and a milkshake must have some ingredients in common. You know, now I'm trying to eat better. I'm going for vegan options a lot more. Any vegans in? Good. Okay, you guys are scarier than Christians. No, it's getting strangely more accurate, though, vegan food, isn't it? Like, for people who don't eat meat, they're very good at replicating it. That'd be like if I say, you know, I would never kill my dad. But I drew a few photos of what it might look like if I did. Yeah? Now, I have a lot of respect for vegans, though. I don't have a lot of respect for pescatarians. Like, I have a friend who's a pescatarian, and I was like, what's your excuse there? Like, how do you moralize eating fish? And she genuinely said, well, fish's memories are so short, they basically don't realize they're being killed. Under that same logic, would you eat a human if they had dementia? Real questions here, okay? I'm trying to eat better. I'm definitely drinking too much recently, though. Anyone else relate to that? Yeah? I like drinking, though, because I'm constantly worried about money. But as soon as I start drinking, I become rich. You know? Your income becomes a lot more disposable once you've had 2 pints, you know? I never thought I was an alcoholic growing up in Ireland because everyone around me always drank more. I'm starting to realize I was just dealing with a bunch of pros, you know? Like, if you're on heroin, everyone around you does more heroin, you would think you're doing dandy, you know? The standard for being alcoholic is definitely higher in Ireland, though. In London, it's like, oh, you drink every night. Yeah, you're alcoholic. Whereas in Ireland, it just means you're social. Yeah? In Ireland, you have to have killed at least 2 people before they stage intervention. Huh? After the first one, it's like, accidents happen. After the second one, it's like, we're sensing a pattern. Next time you go out, maybe don't bring your car keys. Yeah? I've been refused service many times in London. My advice to Irish people when that happens is just call them racist. You'll have a free pint of Guinness in your hand in no time. That only works if they're British, though. I learned that the hard way, all right? What else can I tell you about me? I turned 25 recently. Thank you very much. A lot of people don't believe that I'm 25. I've come to realize that's not because I'm so mature, you know? Like, you know how you often hear people complaining about how they're the only person in their friend group who still gets asked for ID? It's a lot more embarrassing when you're the only person not getting asked for ID. Like, they'll always double-check my friends who are older than me. And then they get to me, they're like, look at this guy. He's clearly got a mortgage to pay off. He's going through a divorce. Let him in. He needs a drink. Bit weird you're hanging out with those younger kids, though. 25 is an annoying age. It's not like young enough that I can brag or old enough that I can complain. It's also a terrible age to be single. So I'm not like a silver fox yet, okay? But I'm also not like a hot younger guy. I'm just a guy, you know? I've gone to the age where I'm starting to hear you'll do a lot more. Yeah. I wish. I don't do well on dating apps either. Like, I find that women's standards have gotten too high. The requirements have gotten too specific, you know? Like, he has to be tall. He has to be a gym nut. I have to be attracted to him. My standards are way lower. For me, all you have to be is alive and vaguely interested. Settling's important, okay? I've been trying to weigh off porn recently as well. Like, I found it got too addictive. Like, my desires got too ambitious. Like, it turns out my stepsister's just not interested. Which is weird because I look just like my dad. But anyway. I've stopped going up to women on nights out now as well. You're welcome, ladies. Because I realized that, like, if I have a one-night stand and if I don't, the results are the same. I wake up sad. But if I have a one-night stand, I wake up sad and tired. And all I really care about nowadays is getting enough sleep. You know, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, right? There are days where all I look forward to is sleeping. I just really enjoy rehearsing dying. Yeah? I'm looking forward to dying. I think I'll be really good at it, you know? Like, I think being a restless sleeper is actually a good thing. I mean, you just have a lot of energy, you have a lot more to give to the world. I'm a really peaceful sleeper. Like, if there is a God, he's looking down at me being like, look at this guy. He's ready to go. He's dead inside and out. All right. We're going to get a little darker here. I'm getting more and more concerned about the possibilities of there being a third world war. It's looking more and more likely, right? Yeah. I will say, though, it would be great to finally wrap up the trilogy. You can't just end on the second one. There's still so much storyline left to wrap up. Like, was Germany a bad guy or just misunderstood? I want to know. They do have a tough act to follow, though. World War II is great. It's one of the few sequels out there superior to the original. Yeah? It's like the Toy Story 2 of wars. Yeah? Like, just look at Hitler's arc over the course of that First World War. In World War I, he's just like a little soldier fighting for Germany. Then by World War II, he's ruling the whole country. By the end, he turns so evil that he kills himself, and the bad guy becomes the hero. Now that's character development. I'll leave you guys with something lighter. My mom was great at giving advice. Like, I was seeing this girl for a while, and I wasn't really feeling it. So I said to my mom, what's the right way to break it off without hurting her? And my mom goes, treat women the way you would like your mother to be treated. I think that's pretty good advice, right? Yeah. I've been using it ever since then. So now when I go on dates, I don't flirt with them. I tell them I love them straight away. And I ask them if I can borrow some money. Then they try to kiss me. I'm like, whoa, what the hell are you doing?
I asked you before the show. To give me like a few kind of facts about you and stuff. And one of them, which surprised me, was that you're trained puppeteer.
Yeah. That was just the most interesting thing I could think
So
about.
do you
It
like
myself,
sticking
something
your
out
hands
there.
in different kind of holes and stuff? What's the story?
Yeah, but only if they don't have legs.
Are you good with your hands?
I'm good at doing this. Doesn't really lend it. Women don't really find that impressive.
Well, it depends where you touch.
I've never gotten laid after a puppet show. I'll say that much.
Well, diversifying in the comedy, because comedy, it is all those things together.
Yeah.
And what do we see today, and what is actually expanding and what is diminishing in terms of kind of almost reducing in... I hardly ever see, clowning. We hardly ever see any clowning nowadays. Let alone, musical comedy. They're hardly ever around, Either they go into the theatre and we lose them out of comedy, and I think it's a loss.
I think the biggest thing is just like, if there is something you want to do, just do it. Don't be concerned about the fact that there's not other people doing it, or some of the biggest concerns people have is that there's too many people doing it. If you have a unique voice, then that will find itself.
That. Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's fair enough, and I think that's the solution.
Yeah.
I think that's the solution, and that's
just do what you love.
democratic.
Yeah.
Do what you love and differentiate, because you already differentiate because it is your own experience.
Yeah,
So wonderful.
exactly, yeah.
Well, our final act, I am delighted to have this chap on, because beautiful things will happen. So Desmond, so lovely to have you. Yes! Now, Desmond, you have agreed to be my frame.
Apparently so.
My strong frame.
Strong like a bull.
Strong like a bull. That's fine. You don't need the mic yet. That's it. Lovely. So, in Argentine tango, 200 years ago, when Argentine tango was invented, really, it was invented by two men actually dancing together while they were waiting for their prostitute. So, when the lady does the decoration step, so her inner thigh rubs on the outer thigh of the gent. Now, you will think this is like she's trying to excite him, whatever. No, she's just very practical. Just checking where his wallet is, that he's got money, coins to pay for services. Where is it? Oh, it's to the right. Oh, I should have gone to the other side. That's the decoration step, And there is also a gumshoe step. If he doesn't have the money, she just does these little flicks. I know. No, I won't go any higher. I could, but that's why he actually went to kind of sort himself out, so I don't reach it. But wonderful. Please, I will leave the stage now. Desmond Feehily, and he will need the mic as well. Thank you so much.
Good evening, hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. Highly unusual for me to be here, because this is television, and as you can see, I have a face for radio. It's quite, you laugh too hard at that, please stop. It's just kind of like, again, I don't know whether you know, for those of you, we are in England, and we're kind of like, I suppose, just below the Midlands, we're above London, and I came up here early today, I was having a wander around the town, and to my absolute amazement, I actually bumped into someone I know. I don't know what the chances are. Obviously, as you can see, I'm in my 50s now. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But I bumped into someone I know, a guy called Steve. Haven't seen Steve since I was maybe 6 or 7 years of age. Literally, that's how long that was, 6 or 7 years of age. Literally came up to me and he's like, Des, is that you? Oh my goodness, Des, that's you. I was like, oh my goodness, Steve, how are you? And he said, yeah, you're not too bad. We had a small little chat, and suddenly he said to me, do you remember our school days? And I was like, I actually do. We grew up in a place called Wembley, famous for the football. And he said, do you remember? He said, they used to put us on a coach and they used to take us to Willesden swimming baths. I was like, I remember that. It was the highlight of the week. It really was just the highlight of the week. Put us on a coach. It was like an adventure. We got on the coach. They take us to Willesden swimming baths. And he said to me, do you remember? He said, they used to put us in the pool. I was like, I do. I said, they used to make us get that brick. I never saw the point of that. We'd get that brick. What was the point of that? We'd get out. We'd been taught to be swimming along, that's fine. Then he said, do you remember, Steve said to me, do you remember, he said, they used to put us in the showers. Now, you've got to remember, we're only 6 or 7 years of age. So I said to him, I do remember the showers. They were very cold. He said, yeah. He said, do you remember though? He said, when we were in the showers, he said, we used to get the soap and put a little bit of soap on the end of our little fingers and just pop them up our bums to make sure they were clean. There was a very awkward silence, as you can imagine. You know, we're only 6 or 7, and to break that awkward silence, Steve said to me, so what are you up to now? So I told him, my elbow. I did ask him if he was still teaching. Apparently he is. No, again, so, you know, that's just, I love that joke. As you can see, obviously, you know, sort of thing, I feel like I'm the granddad this evening, you know, sort of thing. I mean, people talking about Silver Fox, Grecian 2000. So, you know, but again, I mean, it just, I don't know. Listen, this is a big, wide platform. There is a reason that I'm here tonight, okay? And the real reason for that is it's an intervention, basically. So, you know, I'm mainly talking to all the weed smokers out there. You know, I'm 5 years clean now. So, if you do smoke weed, consider this an intervention. Please stop, because you know I'm actually suffering now with early onset dementia, and you know, sort of thing. If you do smoke weed, please stop, because, but you know, it's a problem. But one of the best things about being a comedian who does suffer with early onset dementia is that the very first time you tell that joke is always the best time. Please consider this an intervention. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm actually... They're being very cruel. I'm 5 years clean now. You know, if you do smoke weed, please stop, because it can cause memory issues. I'm actually suffering now with early onset dementia. One of the best things about being a comedian who does suffer with early onset dementia is that the very first time you tell that joke is always the best time. I don't know whether I mentioned, but please consider this an intervention. This is a broadcast platform where I can actually tell people I'm 5 years clean now. If you do smoke weed, please stop, because smoking weed can cause memory issues, and I'm actually suffering now with early onset dementia. One of the best things about being a comedian who does suffer from early onset dementia is that the very first time that you tell that joke is always the best time. I do this 27 times. Usually by now there would be someone around I could ask how many times I've done that, but there isn't, so I'll have to guess. No, I mean, again, something, I just tell you a bit more about me. I'm the sort of person that likes to go out shopping and bump into people wearing camouflage clothing on purpose and tell them I didn't see them there. It's just, that's something I like to do. I don't know, I mean, again, I mentioned my age. Obviously, I'm in my 50s now. Even though I am this age, I will tell you, the other day, I woke up to a huge erection. Unfortunately, not mine. I'm not complaining, you know, so just, you know, whatever turns you on. Apparently, I turned him off. Someone earlier on, I believe someone mentioned about there's going to be a wedding pretty soon. I mean, I went to a wedding recently, and this young man came bounding up to me, literally full of life, full of beans, came bounding up going, "Hi, my name's Darren," he said. He said, "and I am the entertainment." He said, "I am a magician and a mind reader." So I punched him straight in the face. Turns out, wasn't very good. I am single, no surprise, obviously, I am single. I've been single a little while now. I must admit, before I split up with my last girlfriend, I did actually take her to the hospital to have her tested for Tourette's, but it turns out that I am a tosser and she did want me to mug off. That was quite hard to hear. I started seeing a ballerina. I know, impressive, I know. Started seeing a ballerina. It was all right for a while. Eventually, though, I did have to finish with her because, I mean, the sex just became all the same. It was just all first position, second position, third position. I did try and spice things up. I tried to spice things up. I asked her if I could take her from behind. But she said not in the tutu. So I took it off. I shaved my legs and everything. I thought I looked quite good in that. So, you know, that one went by the window. I did actually, I joined the gym because I've got to do something about this, especially at my age. I mean, every day's a bonus. I joined the gym, and again, I'm quite proud of this. I started dating a woman. I did. I know, yeah. Female weightlifter, big girl, nice clean snatch. Don't get that one, but okay, we'll carry on. Again, I mean, listen, I mean, there's a few bits and pieces I can tell you. I mean, recently, you know, so I'm not proud of this, but recently I stole a guide dog. I didn't need one, but there was no witnesses. Going back to women, you know, as I say, I do love women, you know, sort of thing. I mean, again, I once actually asked a woman what was the strangest thing that she'd ever inserted into her vagina. It turned out to be me. That's quite difficult, that one. Listen, I mean, it's all. I'll tell you what. Look, a little bit more about. I've just sort of recently, as I say, if you like, I say, we're friends now. I mean, basically, as I say, so. You know, so listen, I wore my laptop out watching too much porn, okay? Being single, it's just what happened, so I had to buy another laptop. So I went out, bought a laptop, brought it home. You know, this laptop actually has fingerprint technology. I know, nothing, but I was impressed, okay? I live in the Stone Age. However, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this laptop is female. And I know that. I can prove it because every time I run my finger over it, it says, please use a longer stroke to turn on. Well, you know, just I run a few businesses. I do, because obviously making it in comedy is quite hard because apparently you have to be funny. But also, as I say, I run a few businesses. Now, this is something that, especially, is an international audience, as I say. Then I'll just explain a very quick bit of background. We have a business over here, and it's called Pets at Home. Okay, and they also have like an arm which is called the Grooming Room, which sounds. I know it's not run by the royal family. No. It's an arm called the Grooming Room, and it's basically it's a combination of kind of veterinary treatments and actually, you know, taking care of your pet. And this actually happened. My telephone number is 10 different to this Pets at Home, and I get quite a lot of wrong numbers, and you have to play with these situations. So, but generally, anyway. So I was out recently on a Friday night, you know, sort of thing. I'm afraid I got rather drunk. You know, we were out enjoying ourselves. I didn't take my phone with me. I got home the next day because I stayed at a friend's, and my phone was there, and I picked it up. There was a voicemail. I looked at this voicemail. I thought, we'll have a listen. So I pressed the button. I listened to what was going on. And as it turned out, it was a very posh lady on the phone. And she actually said, hello. She said, I wonder, could someone possibly give me a call? She said, because I came down this morning, my dog's bottom was all red and sore, and I'd like someone to have a look at it, please. So she obviously got the wrong number, you know, so she left a message. So I thought, best thing to do, nice thing to do, because I'm a nice guy, phone her back. So I phoned her up, and I said, hi. I said, my name's Desmond. I'm calling about your dog. And she said, oh, are you calling from Pets at Home? I said, no. She said, well, who are you? I said, well, listen, I was out getting drunk last night, and your dog came home with my telephone number and a sore bum. I thought the least I could do was phone up and say sorry. We're getting married now, Labradoodles, you know, sort of thing. Again, it's wonderful. Again, listen, one of the things I'm gonna kind of leave you with, just again, family's very important. Family's very important. And you know, so recently it was my sister's birthday, so I took my 10-year-old niece shopping. I went to what sort of the version of kind of like, I suppose, our Walmart. So it's a place called Tesco's. I went into Tesco's, and we're wandering round, and I have a fantastic relationship with my niece. She's only 10, and I can't remember what she did, but I said to her, I said, if you do that again, I'm going to punch you in the face. Well, yeah, he said, we have a fantastic, wonderful relationship. But when I said that, there was a woman standing nearby who had heard me say to my 10-year-old niece, if you do that again, I'm going to punch you in the face. And she was judging me. She really was judging me. So to spite her, I punched my niece in the face. I love the fact that everyone's looking at me going, I didn't. Listen, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but anyone here, you know, any weed smokers in the house? They've given me this opportunity to be here for this platform because I don't know whether I mentioned this, but I mean, I'm actually 5 years clean now. And it does cause memory issues, so please do, if you do smoke weed, please stop. It does cause memory issues. But one of the best things about being a comedian who does actually suffer with early dementia is that the very first time you tell that joke is always the best. Now, one of the other things that I'm going to tell you, obviously, as a man in his 50s, I recently lost my sex drive. No, I know. And obviously, one of the things that I've started to do now is keep it round my neck. Because obviously that way I know where it is. And obviously, you know, I don't need to worry about having it erased because, believe me, I could swallow that. You know, if it came to it. Last thing I'm going to leave you with is because I've got to touch on the Irish connection, haven't I? Seeing as, you know, that's been mentioned. I did grow up in an Irish neighbourhood. You know, it was a beautiful thing. We were all very friendly. We used to go and knock for our friends back in them days. And I used to go around, I'd knock for my friend, and his father would open the door. Huge, big Irishman, probably like 6'5", massive big guy. And he used to look down at me, and he would just say to me, "Hello, Desi. Are you here to play with my little Willie?" It was odd because my friend's name was Liam, but you know, we'd go in the house, and as you know, Irish, very warm household. I couldn't afford it these days with the heating costs, but no, very warm household. And we'd go in, there'd always be sandwiches, there'd always be cake, and then, you know, as we'd be leaving, there used to be a bit of a bowl just by the front door. And obviously before we left, my friend's father used to stop us, and he'd get the little brush out of the bowl, and he'd just make sure he'd brush our hair to make sure we looked smart. He would take our hands and he'd check our nails to make sure they were clean. And you know, it took me years to realise I was being groomed. I do, you know, something. We touched a bit on religion, you know. And I've only got one little story, if I'm honest, about, you know, with religion. As a small child, you know, I remember my mother walking me to school, and you know, every time my mum did walk me to school, there were always loads of wolf whistles. So eventually she had to stop walking me past the Catholic church.
Are you still smoking weed, or no, you stopped?
Oh, that was a long time ago, sort of thing. Yeah, I can't actually remember when. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, no, that's just some of that is. I was a younger man then,
yes.
And obviously, but it's a great joke.
It is a great joke. Yes, and it also reminds us of some of the, you know, pros and cons.
Well,
you know,
after a lot of the questions that you've been asking, a lot of the things I've been seeing tonight, you're talking to people. One of the things that I've been taught, and one thing I know, is comedy will set you free.
Yes.
And we lost my mother a couple of years ago. And she had dementia. So one of the ways in helping you deal with that is to basically take the mickey from that and sort of let those, you know, do a little bit of joining out for that. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And it helps me because my mother-in-law, Di, actually does have dementia. And she keeps reminding herself that she's not a xenophobe. Every time she speaks to me.
I hope you correct her.
Yeah. No, I don't correct her. I actually quite enjoy being the villain in this story. And then she realises that she actually quite enjoys talking to me for 2 hours.
One of the things that we were taught, and one of the things you learn is, of course, you don't correct, you join in. So
yeah, that's right.
One of the so one of the things interesting when you know, when we'd be talking to my mother would be that we'd wait to see where she was.
That's it.
So
that's
at what
it.
stage in her life,
yes.
and then obviously you just join in.
You just join in. Yes.
You know, she might be asking you to pop to the shops and get her something.
That's it. Yeah.
And you had to find out which city you were in, so you knew which shop that you could actually go to.
And
for her.
often it is during lockdown, so I have to go and get myself a mask.
Lockdown for me was very difficult because I'm a huge dogging fan, basically. And of course, in lockdown, you had to stay, 6 feet, away.
So how did you do that?
I can't shoot 6 feet. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it really is. So, yeah. Am I allowed to give out my OnlyFans page while we're talking about that?
Yes,
I don't understand why people laugh at that. Just taking things not serious is a very good way of kind of, hiding and dealing with mental health issues, basically.
Yes. No, that's a very good point. I love that.
It's just, laughter's very, very important. Laughter is very important.
Yeah. Joy. Yes! Wonderful! Andrew Dipple. Yay! Woo! Dillon Harris. Yes! Yeah. And our fantastic, I mean, I think backup, definitely backup host. If I still can keep the shop, please. But you do keep him as a backup. Desmond Feehily, yes! Woo-hoo! And I've been Gordana, Micic, your host, and see you next week. Have a lovely week ahead, darling. Woo! Hey.